Yeah, hi everyone. For today, the agenda is debugging. Right? Debugging is one of the very important, powerful concept that we have in SAP ABAP because it tells us like where exactly we are facing the issue, what is causing the problem, and all these things, right? So when we talk about debugging, so these are the topics that I would like to discuss as part of our debugging concept, right? So to say frankly, the point is, so without coding knowledge, there is no point of debugging the code, right? So if at all you want to work on debugging, make sure you know basics of coding, right? So for that purpose, so I would like to create almost 3 to 4 videos to cover all these topics, so that what happens is like if you are comfortable on all these topics like types of breakpoints and function keys, watch points, update debugger, system debugger, pop-up debugger, how to edit the entries of a standard table, and all these things. If you are comfortable on all these things, so definitely it will be very much helpful for you to to proceed further in the real times, right? So, but before we talk all these things, right, like let me create a small program for you so that I can talk on like how exactly this F5, F6, F7, F8 and all these things functions, and how exactly we can keep the breakpoint, and what is the point that we have to focus when we are debugging a program and all, right? So let me create a small program for you. So let me save this program. So for this, I would like to take 3 tables. I would like to take 3 tables. The first table is VBAK table, and the fields are VBLN, ER name, some wiki.org. This is for VBAK. And the next table that I'm trying to take is VBAP table, of course. VBAP. So let me VBLN, postnar, matnar, and of course one more field netwr. And last table that I'm trying to take is Mara table. What happens is at least you can see all the logic that I'm gonna write now, right? MATNR, some ERSDA, and that's it. Like enough. These 2 fields are enough. So now I need to prepare a report, fetching the data from these 3 tables and prepare the final table so that we can, at least if at all I want to show you some what exactly F5, what exactly F6 and F8 functions, right? I should have the logic, right? Like I need to write the logic in performs function modules. Let me do that so that I can talk on all these things, right? Now let me create a top include. So this is what always we do, underscore top. So I'll say it as, so I know let me save it. Let me double click on this include. Let us create the include. So since we have already given the include, so the type of the program is already set as include program. So let us try to save it. And now, so types, let me create st underscore vbak, st underscore vbap, st underscore vbap, the last table, enough st underscore mara, st underscore mara. And of course, we even need the final table also. No, let me even create it final. So the first table that I'm talking now, so vbln type vbln underscore va. By this, what happens is at least you will get to know how exactly we will create a program and all. You will even get that concept also. What is the field that we are drawing? ER name, right? ER name. The next field is wiki.org. Type wiki.org. Yes, all these are data elements. And VBLN type VBLN underscore VA. And next one is postnar type postnar underscore VA. Third field is matnar type matnar. And of course, we have one more field, netwr type. BAP. Sorry, the data element of it. matnar type, matnar, and some ERSDA, some creation date, material creation date, ERSDA. Now we need to create the final table with all these fields. By this, what happens is at least you will get to know like how we are creating the report also. So let me save it, and of course let us create table types as well. So far all these are like structure types. So VBAK type, table of st underscore VBAK, pt underscore VBAP type. Sorry, type table of st underscore VBAP, tt underscore mara type table of st underscore mara, tt underscore final type table of st underscore final. Even in this top include itself, we can even create the select options as well. S underscore sales for yeah, I think we LV underscore VBLN, VBELN data, LV underscore VBLN type, VBLN underscore VA. So let me save this particular include. Yes, this top include is saved. Go back. Let's try back to this program and even try the change the description of it. Okay, someone has already done this. Sales order. Control F3. So if you look at the report, so this is how it looks like. Well, of selection. So first, like what I'm trying to do is perform get underscore VBAK changing IT underscore VBAK. So I am creating a perform modulation techniques is one. So here let me write the code also. Sorry, pseudocode. Fetch the data from VBAK table. Even if some analyst or someone, if they look at this particular line, they'll get to know, okay, by using this particular line, we are trying to do something. We are trying to fetch the data from VBAK table. So I need to create this table, right? So now let me go back to the top include. So let us create all the internal tables. IT underscore VBAK type, PT underscore VBAK. With the table type reference, I have created it. VBAP type, TT underscore VBAP, and the other way type table of ST underscore VBAP. Now this particular table I have created with structure type reference, so you have to use table of these two tables. These two tables I have created with reference to table type, so I need to give table of here. I hope you understand this. So type table of ST underscore final, just to make sure like we are trying to cover all the components. What is this? Yeah, no problem. The issue is not in this particular include. Don't worry. Go back. So here, so now we have created a perform. We have defined a perform. I mean to say, get VBAK changing this one, meaning by using this particular subroutine, we will be, of course, we will be creating form and form now. So we are trying to change this particular internal table, right? So now let me double click on this. So this particular form and form does not exist, like subroutine does not exist. Let me create it. Now you tell me, so where exactly you want to save the form and form, either in the main program, sorry, this is the main program, or in the top include. Of course, in this particular program, we have created a top include also, no, where exactly you want to store the form and form, or where exactly you want to create the form and form. So the top include or the main program. No, what I'll try to do is, so sub ROTNS something subroutines, I mean to say ROUTINES. That's okay. This is the new include that I'm going to propose now, right? In the same include, I'll try to save all the form and forms. So you will get to know in some time. This particular program, in this particular standard, main program, one more include is being inserted. So are you okay with it? Yes, please. Okay, continue. So now whenever we write form and forms, right? So we call, so let's minute. We call these parameters as actual parameters, and we call these parameters as formal parameters. Make sure at the formal parameters level, we have to provide the type reference. So since it is like internal table, so I'm just giving the table type reference. So definitely here you cannot type table of, sorry, this. If I can write this, I would have written structure type also. But no, here you can mention only type reference. That's okay. We understood it. So this is my table now. Type reference of this one, right? So select VBLN. I think ER name VKORG from VBAK into table, and the table is this one. So since we are inside this particular form and form, right? So formal parameter works actually. So we are writing the same way where VBLN in S underscore. So make sure you have written the size of RC. So the reason why I'm writing all this code is so that I can talk on like F5, F6, F7, F8, all these functions. Like I can show you how exactly they'll work. So see, ITVBAK is unknown because ITVBAK is there at here. This is not active. So now we need to focus on like even my top include is also not active. Right. So this is not active. This is not active. And of course, even this is also not active. So make sure just go back, try to activate all of them at a single shot. See how everything is activated. Now the same way, now let me even write the other perform also perform get underscore VBAP. But to this, I definitely need to use VBAK data because I'm just gonna write for all interest for it. So IT underscore VBAP. Right now, let me double click on this. Go for create. And now I'm not gonna create a new include. Rather, previously I have created this particular include, right, to store all the subroutines. So I just have selected the same. Say continue. See, earlier code was this, and now we are writing for it. Type tt underscore VBAK. Type tt underscore VBAP. Now let me. So definitely I have to write for all entries here. So if at all you want to write for all entries, make sure the table is not initial. So let me fetch the data. Select VBLN, postnar, matnar, netwr from VBAP into table. This one for all entries in where VBLN is equal to hyphen VBLN. I hope this logic is so clear, right? VBLN and postnar. If at all we are trying to sort the item table, make sure you are sorting with the document along with the item number. So save it, try to activate it, go back. Yeah, now even I'm done with the second one. Now let's, so even here also we can write some. I know the topic is like debugging one, but we are wasting in a different way, but no problem. This is much needed for, you know, VBAP, because to fetch the data from Mara table, of course, the common field is matnar, and that is there in VBAP table. So now changing IT underscore. Let me go with Mara. Right. Click on this. Let's try to create this one as well in the same include. So here type tt underscore VBAP underscore Mara. If is not initial, select matnar, and the other field is SDA from Mara into table Mara for all this in this one where matnar is equal to hyphen matnar, and let me go for the size of RC check. Sort Mara by matnar. Of course, the data will be sorted only, but still that's what is this error? Get to Mara VBAP IT Mara. Okay. TT Mara. What is this issue? Incompatible. Using ITVBAP, ITMARA. Okay. TTVBAP, TTMARA. Let me go back. Let me try to activate the whole stuff. Row number 21. Using ITVBAP, changing ITMARA. What is incompatible with the formal parameter P underscore IT underscore Mara. Okay, let me go inside TT Mara. What is TT Mara? ST Mara. It's fine now. Where is the issue? Mara ITVBAP, ITVBAP, TTVBAP, STVBAP, UVL personal matter. Okay. This is the problem. ITVBAP, TTVBAP, right now. This should be good. Right. So now, we have the top include and we have event run. Like let's say perform final data. So now we have to use all these things, right? Underscore EBAT, IT underscore Mara, and what we have to change IT underscore final. That's it. So now let me go and create this one as well. Same include, save it, type TT underscore EBAK, type TT underscore EBAP, type underscore Mara, type TT underscore final. Now, bet. So first I'm trying to loop the item table data UA underscore EBAK type ST underscore EBAK WA underscore EBAP type ST underscore EBAP WA underscore Mara type ST underscore Mara. Now WA underscore final type ST underscore final. That's it. So now WA underscore final EBAP WA, sorry, okay, yeah, final hyphen. So let me fill this VBLN first. WA underscore EBAP hyphen VBLN. I think it should be Postner. It should be Matner. Let me go NetWR. WR Matner. Now read table. To read this table into WA underscore EBAK with the key. Since we have already sorted this table, sorted this table based on the same field, we can even go for bind search as well. Binary search. We know after read we have to go with size of RC check. WA final hyphen. I think it should be ER name. WA VBAK hyphen ER name. What are the fields that we have fetched from even VK was also there. Okay. ORG. Perfect. Now maybe the last table that we have to go with is read table P underscore IT underscore Mara into WA underscore Mara with the key matnor is equal to, now this time with this reference. I hope all of you know this. Hyphen sub RC is equal to 0. A final hyphen ERSD material creation date hyphen ERSD. That's it. So even here also. So towards the end, the final to underscore IT underscore final. Yeah, that's it. So let me go for petty printer. Let me try to activate the code. Let's see if you have any issues. We will try to sort out. Line number 27. IT final is unknown, but there is a similar field T final. I think let me go to the top include. Yeah, here is the problem. Typo issues. Okay, let me save it. Go back. Let me try to activate the whole stuff. So now, okay, so typo issue. SNR, let me activate it. Now again, let me go back. Let me try to activate the whole program. Now this time, I think it gets successful. So now, so this is what we have done, right? Now, of course, like along with the final table preparation, let me even display it. So I don't want to create a new form button for that. So now, it's a small thing. So p underscore IT underscore final is not initial. Then we know this demo class, right? That's it. We have done this. So let me go with some test data. So we are getting the output. So we are getting the output as expected. Like maybe we don't have proper data here for this ER name and VKWAJ and ERSDA. You don't need to worry about it. Right now, one second, guys. It's almost 20 minutes over. Okay, now at least I have some code. So I hope at least I have some code to explain and to let you know how exactly F5, F6, F7, F8 button works, right? So in this particular program, like you even must have got like how exactly we have to loop and read and all these things. So let's say first we are just passing all the fields of this particular VBAP table to the final structure, final work area, I mean to say. Later, for this particular, because we have a common field between VBAK and VBAP, right? So with this particular VBLN value, just we are trying to pass this to this particular internal table. We are trying to fetch that to the work area, and this work area value we are just trying to pass to the final work area. Same thing applies even for Mara table as well. This is what basically we do in the real time, right? Finally, we are appending all the data to the final table, and we just have displayed it. Now, so the agenda is like how many types of breakpoints that we have in SAP, right? How many types of breakpoints that we have in SAP? The okay, let me, I don't need this now. There are two types of breakpoints in SAP. There are two types of breakpoints. One is static breakpoints. So what exactly breakpoints are? Like we even don't know what exactly breakpoint is. So don't worry. So see this. We have two types of breakpoints. One is static breakpoint and the other one is dynamic breakpoint. So what? So first of all, what is? Let me even write this. Breakpoints. Oh, I am in the code now, guys. I'm in the code. So this is my main program. This is my main program, and this is my top include, and all these are my performs. And this is my final preparation data, and this particular include contains all the subroutines of these performs, like all the form and forms of these performs, right? So if at all you want to keep the breakpoint. The first and most important thing is, so I'm just trying to talk about dynamic breakpoints for now, right? Otherwise, like let's start with this. So what is the purpose of breakpoint? So I'm just trying to execute the program. I'm just trying to execute the program. Now directly I'm getting the output. If everything goes fine, like I'm just I'm just getting the output. But my point is, due to some reason, we did not get the data. The moment when you execute the program, we did not get the data. I just want to know where exactly the issue is. The issue could be at this particular perform or this particular perform or this particular perform or this particular perform. We don't know where exactly the issue is. We just need to debug the code. We just need to debug the code where exactly the issue is there. We need to find out, right? So now, if at all you want to do it right, we have to stop the execution either at this place or at this place or at this place at this place. We need to break the execution. We need to break the execution. I don't want. So let's say, let me say this. So if Paisavachi is not initial, display it. Otherwise, so that is what, like, guys, if you don't know the coding, definitely it will be very tough for you to debug the code. Without knowing the code, how can we debug the stuff? At least we should know what exactly and how exactly it functions and all, right? So some message, no data. Okay, let's say E, at least for now. Display like I. So let me activate it. Go execution 497X. What the user is thinking, like he'll get the data, but apparently like he's not getting the data. So he just need to understand like where exactly the problem is. He just needs to understand where exactly the issue is. So we need to stop the execution at this particular line. If at all you want to stop the execution at this particular line, so place your cursor on this line. Point number 1 to be noted. Place this cursor on the line. Go for this. So these two breakpoints are called as dynamic breakpoints. I repeat, these two breakpoints are called as dynamic breakpoint. In dynamic breakpoint, we have two things. One is session and external. Session breakpoint. Don't think like it is Blender Sprite. It is session breakpoint, external breakpoint, right? So these two comes under dynamic breakpoints. When I say static, even here also static nothing but like we are writing something. So that is, so we have to write break like this, or even here also we have two things. So let's talk about these 4 points for today, and rest of the topics we'll try to cover tomorrow, right? So static breakpoints and dynamic breakpoints. So static breakpoint is what? Like for example, what is the purpose of breakpoint? So we have to stop the execution. We have to stop the execution directly. The moment when I execute this with some wrong data, I'm just getting this pop-up. That's okay. But I just need to stop the process, like where I just need to know where exactly the issue is coming. So if at all you want to stop the process here, you have to stop the process either by we have to stop the process by using breakpoints. So we have two types of breakpoints as we discussed. One is static breakpoint and the other one is dynamic breakpoint. When I say static breakpoint, you have to stop the execution with these two things. First one, breakpoint. Let me write it down, right? So let me write it down. You see? So I just wrote it. So the problem with this particular breakpoint is we wrote it actually. So that is what static, nothing but fixed. It's kind of fixed, right? The problem with this particular breakpoint is, now let's say I have developed this particular report, right? So my user ID is 75 ABAP 42. Going forward, if some other user like 75 ABAP 43 comes, I mean, just he logs into this particular server, and if he tries to execute this particular program, if it tries to execute this particular program, see, my debugger is being started. This is how your debugger looks like. So since we set this static breakpoint, my control stopped here. We just have break the execution, right? This particular breakpoint triggers. The problem with this particular breakpoint is, as I told you, this particular breakpoint will be triggered to everyone. Will be triggered to everyone whomsoever executed this particular program. If I execute the program, yes, this the cursor will be stopped. I mean, the control will be stopped here. If you execute the program, even this particular breakpoint will be triggered. Knowingly or unknowingly, like see, the review did not happen properly and this particular code has been moved to quality. Assume the case. This particular program has been moved to quality system or to production system. Then what will happen? If someone tries to execute the program, they'll not get the output. See, user is, we have to think in such a way that user does not know anything, end users. So they'll directly execute the program. They'll expect some output will come, but that is not happening because of this particular breakpoint. So no matter what, whoever executes this particular program, they'll get this screen. So user will be, he'll get panic. At least end user I'm talking about. End user, he'll be panic and he'll just worry about the things. Because he doesn't know what exactly debugger, what exactly SAP code and all. So he'll execute the report. He'll expect some output will come for sure. So that will not happen because you have statically written this. So this is static breakpoint 1. So now let me say F8, like later I'll talk on this. Later we have one more breakpoint that is it will trigger globally. Triggered to everyone, I mean to say. It will be triggered to everyone. So let me comment it out. Other breakpoint is break space user specific breakpoints. So 75 ABAP 42. Let me write this 75 ABAP 42. This is self-explanatory. So it will be triggered to only the specified user. So assume the case. Now let me even activate the code, right? Let me execute it. Right? This particular breakpoint will be triggered to only this guy because we have clearly specified the username here. So this is what I'm trying to convey. This will be triggered to everyone. So whoever execute the program to that particular guy, this particular breakpoint will be triggered. You will get this kind of debugger. So you are in the ABAP debugger. But this particular breakpoint will be triggered. Sorry, this particular breakpoint will be triggered only to this guy. Meaning, so let's assume now this is my report. This particular report, assume the case, this particular report is being executed by 75 ABAP 43. 75 ABAP 43. No, now they'll not get the debugger because we have clearly mentioned that break the execution only for this user. So other than this user, if someone tries to execute the program, no, they won't get the debugger at all. So I hope this is so clear to everyone. So this is about static breakpoints, the first part. We have two types of breakpoints. One is static breakpoint and the other one is dynamic breakpoint. We have discussed these two, right? So frankly speaking, so we should not have the static breakpoints in the code. Of course, even while testing, you can write it. But at least while deploying to the production system or at least while moving from development to quality to production, definitely you should not have the static breakpoints in the code. You should not have it because this may hamper the applications running. So definitely you will not execute this particular, like if you knowingly or unknowingly, if you keep this particular breakpoint and if you move that particular program to the other server, so definitely other server has a like quality. So testers will come and they'll try to test the application. Definitely they'll not get the output because they'll get the debugger on. They don't know what exactly to do when they get that pop-up on all. I mean debugger pop-up on all. They don't know. So we have to avoid them. Only in while we are developing the logic, if at all you want to have static breakpoints, only then you have to go and have. And if your testing is done, make sure you deleted them. You have to delete them for sure. Right. This is what static breakpoint, and the other one that I'm trying to talk is external break. Sorry, dynamic breakpoints. So guys, so now since we have discussed this, I'm just trying to remove them. So I just want to make sure my code is right. So in external breakpoints, no, sorry, in dynamic breakpoints, we have two things. One is session one and the other one is external one. So this we call it as session breakpoint. See, set or delete session breakpoint, and this is external breakpoint. I'll try to convey you what exactly the difference between these two. And make sure if at all you want to keep either the session breakpoint or the external breakpoint, your code must be active. If your code is not active, you cannot set the breakpoints at all. Right? Save it. Save it. See what it is saying? You can set the breakpoints only when the code is active. So now the code is inactive, you cannot set the breakpoint. Now let me activate the code. Now let's see. Now, and the main important point that I would like to mention you is always try to keep the breakpoint at the executable lines, not at the declarations. So now all these are declarations. You know it, right? Like this is a structure type different declarations and table types, and all these are like data components and select options. So you don't try to keep the breakpoint at the declarations. So always try to keep the breakpoint at the executable lines, not at the declarations. So now let me keep my cursor on this particular line. So let me keep my session breakpoint. If at all you want to delete it, again, of course, set the same, put the cursor on the same line, go for delete. So it will automatically go away. Or you no need to click on this. So directly we have this, what is this color? Like this is a brown color, white, brown, something. I'm just pure it colors. So you can directly click on this. Not here, not here. Right? You can click on this, and of course you can, again click on it, it will go away. So these are session breakpoints. Now what exactly the purpose of it, and we'll see, we'll try to see it. So now I just have kept a breakpoint like this, or I can click on this, or I can click on this, it will set and delete. Now execute the program. Now let me enter this. Sir, we got to know like how to set the breakpoints and all, but how exactly we have to find out the issue. Now, so how many functions that we have? We have F5, see, F5, F6, F7, and F8. We have 4 functions. We call them as function keys in debugger, right? Even on the, in our computer, function keys also there, right? On the top, on just on the top row, right? F5, F6, F8. Even you can click on them, but we'll try to see this, right? So what is F5, sir? What is the purpose of F5? F5 is for single step execution, meaning line by line. Okay. Now I am at this particular perform. I just want to see what exactly is happening in this particular subroutine. Just let me click on F5. Since this particular perform is having a form and form, which is a block of code, right? So let me click on F5. The moment when I click on F5, my cursor goes. See, here is my cursor. If you can see, there is an arrow mark, right? Arrow mark on the session breakpoint. My arrow mark is stop. Now, if I click on F5, let's see. See, my cursor, this particular arrow mark, my cursor or my execution line has come to form and form. Now, as I have mentioned, F5 is for line by line execution. So when I say line by line, so don't expect my cursor to be stopped at line number 14, because this is line number 13 and should stop at line number 14. No. So always ABAP statement terminator is dot. We know it, right? Statement terminator. So how exactly one line or one statement will be terminated? How it will be ended? It will be ended with dot. So from here to here, this is one line. So now if I click on F5, what happens? It comes to 16, because this is all one line, step by step. This step is executed and we are now here. So now apparently if you have really observed it, so now let me double click on this. So this particular select query is executed, but this particular what is this internal table is not filled. See, 0, 3, meaning 0 rows, 3 columns. 0 rows meaning like we don't have any data. So filled, because for this particular data we don't have for this particular input, we don't have any data in VBAK table. So that is the reason this particular internal table is not filled. So we got size of RC also. So we have to focus on size of RC values, right? Size of RC 4, of course. Okay, this could be the reason for you to not get the data, right? Again, see F5 size of RC not equal to 0, it came down. It is not even going inside. So again F5. Now again F5. What will happen? It goes inside this particular form and form. Now let me click on F5. It went inside. So since this is the concept of for all entries, if this is not having data, it won't even go to this particular select query. This is how we have to write, right? So F5, it came down. F5, again F5. F5 is simply like, again I'm telling you, line by line execution, right? Now let me say F8. So direct execution, we got this. Now this time let me give the proper data so that I can talk. Execute. We have discussed how F5 works, how F5 functions, right? So basically this particular debugging session will be helpful to the freshers or to the functional team, like because they desperately wait for the classes on debugging because they know how like functional side, like if it is SDR, MM, Ferfico, they definitely know how the module works. But frankly speaking, they don't know how debug. I mean, how to debug the code and all. So yeah. Now, if I click on F5, what will happen? It goes inside and it is fetching the data. Now, see this time, since we have passed the proper data, now this particular internal table is filled 5 rows and 3 columns. It is always matrix format, like 5 by 3, meaning 5 rows and 3 columns. 5 rows as in 5 records and 3 columns. So these two are blank at the table level itself. We can't do anything. Now let me say F5. It goes inside and from this line to this line and from this line to this line. Line by line execution. Now even here also. It goes line by line, line by line, line by line, line by line. So that is how F5 works. So then what is F6, sir? Frankly speaking, both F5 and F6 are same. Some are the other way, they are same. Line by line execution. But when your cursor is when your cursor is on perform, let me write 3 statements here. If your cursor is at perform or call function or a method, at least for your experience, I mean at your experience or at your knowledge, since we are at the very beginning of the debugging, right? So just think that if your cursor is at perform or function or a method, F6 will act in a different way. Otherwise, both F5 and F6 both are same. Oh, is it? So how can we confirm that, sir? Yeah, let me go inside. Now, if I click on F5 here, what will happen? It will go inside, right? So let me click on it. F5. It's going inside. Now, as we have mentioned, right? If your cursor is at perform or function or method, only then F5 and F6 difference comes. Otherwise, both are same. Okay. Now, since my cursor is at this line and I don't have any perform, method or function, so even if I click on F6 or F5, both of them should work in a similar way. That is what you mentioned, sir. Yes, perfect. Now, let me click on F6 now this time. Oh, it is also doing the same thing. The way how F5 does. F6, F6, F6. So it is also doing the same thing. But if I click on F6 when we are at perform or a function module or a method, then how it works, right? So it won't go inside. Simply, it won't go inside. Rather, it executes the whole stuff in a single line and it just comes to the next line. Oh, is it? Yes. Now, apparently, after this, we don't have any line. Of course, these are just include, right? So if I click on F6, it directly comes out of it. So, okay, let me debug it again. I'll show you. Always make sure like you have selected desktop 3. I'll talk on all these things. So maybe in the later sessions, right? Now, what will happen if I see my cursor is at now perform? If I click on F5, definitely we have seen it many times, it will go inside. But if I click on F6, what will happen? See, it did not go inside. It did not go inside. Rather, it have executed this, and even you have the data here. So it is not going inside. Maybe you will, I mean, you may have thousands of lines here. It won't go inside. It all this, but I mean, all the code inside of this will be executed and it will come down. So F6, see, it is not going inside. So this is the difference between F5 and F6. So since we are, it's a long running session, I just wanted to stop this here. So somehow we got the difference between F5 and F6, right? So we got the difference between F5 and F6. Both F5 and F6 are for single line execution only. But if your cursor is at either at perform or at function module or at a method, so it will act in a different way, right? So it will act in a different way, as in like if it is perform, it will go inside. If it is F5, it will go inside, or if it is F6, it will execute the whole stuff and it comes to the next line. So see here, my cursor is at line number 21. So I don't want to execute this entire perform. So click on F6, it comes down. So if you click on F5, it goes inside. If you are inside, I mean here, like there is no perform function model and method, right? Both F5 and F6 work similar. Both will work as the same way. So this is what. So we have discussed like how many types of breakpoint that we have. We have two types, static and dynamic. And static breakpoint, we have two things like global breakpoint and user specific breakpoint. And here in dynamic breakpoint, we have two things, session and external. Sir, we have discussed about session now, sir. So how about external breakpoint? So just kindly bear with me. So see, the problem with session breakpoint is if you log off from the system. So let me /nex. Let me do this log off. See, I have logged off the system. Now let me double click on it and let me reopen the session again. Now, let me open the same program. The moment when you log off the server, log off the system, the session breakpoint is gone. The session breakpoint is gone if you have observed it, right? So this is its behavior. So if at all you are working in the same server and if at all you are if you want to debug the code, happily you can go with session breakpoint. Sometimes what happens is this particular program will be called from some third-party system or from other SAP system. In that cases, if at all you were, I mean, if at all you want to trigger this program and if at all you want to debug this particular program, when this particular program is being called from the third-party system, then in that case, definitely you have to go with external breakpoint. And this is external. The name itself is saying external breakpoint because this particular program is being triggered from the external system and you have to break the execution. I repeat, this particular program is being triggered from the external system and you have to break the execution. Break the execution as that, like you have to debug it. So let me keep the cursor the same way. Let me keep the cursor on this and you have to click this external breakpoint and focus on the status bar once. See, this particular breakpoint was set for, breakpoint was set for external debugging system wide and the validity for this is 2 hours. After 2 hours, automatically this particular external breakpoint will be deleted. Right? So session breakpoint and external breakpoint. If you are within the system and if at all you want to debug the code, we will go with session breakpoint. If at all we want to trigger this particular, if at all this particular program is being triggered from the third-party system and if at all you want to debug it, you have to go with this. I hope you understand this. And the other difference is, though you log off the server. So let me log off the server here. Though you log off the server, the external breakpoint will not go off. Open the same program and see. Though you log off the server, this breakpoint did not deleted. It did not get deleted, right? So again, set the cursor here, delete it. Same way, set it, delete it. But if you click on this line, definitely it will be sessional breakpoint. But if at all you want to have external breakpoint, always place the cursor here, delete it, set it, and then delete it. This is how you have to do. Right? The validity for external breakpoint is 2 hours. Thank you so much for your time. And in the next session, we'll definitely try to cover like how exactly the difference. I mean, when we'll go with F7 and when we have to go for F8 and all. Right? So of course, I took like most of the time. Reason being, so without knowing the code, there is no point in debugging, right? So if at all you want to debug the code, you know the code. So that is the reason I wrote. I mean, I took a bigger time, and I have written a program and I have executed it, and I hope I have even explained the code also, right? So F5, F7, F8, F6, and of course we will see the entire stuff in the coming classes. Thank you so much for your time. Have a nice day.